All right, hey everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Okay, so I have been meaning to do this live for probably 2 weeks. um, so much has been going on. If you have been watching, being aware, even if you haven't been being aware, a lot of things that have been going on have been in our faces, in ways unimaginable, right? I've not expected things to be this way, but it's like it started off with Cat Williams and it just went on from there. Okay, so so where do we begin? So let me do a little as we call it housekeeping first. Okay, so first my lip color here. This is Lena from the Harlem Renaissance collection, my makeup collection, and you can find that at glamalchemy.com/glam. You can find my lipstick there. There are also a couple of palettes left for the Harlem Renaissance eyeshadow palette collection, but you know, we down to the last of the last. So um, if you're interested, go check that out. I am about to do another batch of the Lady Nectar. I've had people asking me about it again. Well, my regulars, they always ask me, but I've had a resurgence of interest in the Lady Nectar, so you can grab that. There is about a 10 to 12 day wait period because I have to make the tincture, and yes, there's a whole alchemical process to that. Okay, so there is that. What else did I want to talk about before I jump into the North Node and Aries and all of the crazy things that are going on right now? Um, yeah, I think that's mostly it. Again, if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, you can look at my favor program, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end of the video on my website at glamalchemy.com/shop. Or you can always drop me a line at the contact us page on glamalchemy.com. Okay, so let's talk about the North Node in Aries. So what is the North Node in Aries? What am I talking about? Okay, so every 18 months, the North Node, which is basically the area where the moon is in the sky, what constellation it's near, it will change. So every 18 months. Okay, so a lot of times when I work with people regarding astrology, one of the first things we'll talk about is their North Node. So I may say that your North Node is in the sign of Cancer, right? And that basically indicates your basically your destiny in astrology. It's like your destiny, and it's also like your positive karma. So for instance, we'll use Beyonce as an example. So Beyonce, I believe, has a North Node in Cancer. Beyonce um, is a mom, right? Cancer is the sign of motherhood, is the sign of family, is the sign of the home, etc., etc. Beyonce has children, right? She has like three or four kids. She has made it a point to, um, her brand is very like that it shows that she's on a personal level. A personal brand is that she's family oriented, right? She even came out with a clothing line at one point that was her grandmother's name. Okay, that was in alignment with um her North Node in Cancer, as is her being a mother. Um, Motherhood being a big part of her life. After she had babies, she kind of started moving differently, as far as being in the limelight and things like that. That's just a simple example. Another person that I'll talk about their North Node would be Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is a Pisces North Node. Pisces is the sign of like imagination. It also rules cameras, and things like that. If you watch this story, Tyler Perry talks about going into an imaginative state when he would be being abused as a child. And then he talks about how, I mean, him being a director in general or him putting on plays is very Piscean, right? It's creative. It's, again, cameras are used. It gets into the emotions of people, all Piscean keywords. Um, he also talks about how he can see the scene before the scene actually happens, right? That is like a Piscean a gift. So he's moving in his north node. Now, with the north node, there's also a south node, which is the opposite sign. And so if I was doing a personal astrological reading on you, I would say, you know, we want to move away. We want to embody the positive traits of our south node, but we want to move away from our south node. Um, Embodying and being in and behaving like your south node keeps you in a cycle of slowness. Like you don't really move forward. It's kind of like walking through mud when you could, when there's a car sitting next to you in a free like highway, and you could just get on the car and just drive, but you would rather truck through mud. That's operating in your south node. Now, when it comes to the world at large, when the north node moves, it's like the overall theme of what is going on. And the south node is like the underlying theme of what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to explain that and explain why there's so much going on, why so many people are being exposed right now, why there are major wars that are happening right, very violent wars that are occurring right now in this moment that are getting global attention, why there are so many beefs going on right now. Okay, so firstly, I want to tell you that the North Node in Pisces started July of this year. So it just moved from Taurus. So before the North Node was in Taurus. So before, not July. I say July. It's not even July yet. I believe it was March. I didn't even look at the dates. So, but I know January 2026 is when it is going to. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm going to get the dates for the North Node and Pisces so that you guys can see. Okay, so back. So the North Node in Aries actually moved last year in July. I was right. I guess I just didn't understand what I was saying or thinking in my mind. So July of 2023 is when the North Node moved into Aries, and so January 11th of 2025 is when it is going to move into the next sign, which is Pisces. So prior to July of 2023, we were in the North Node in Taurus. Taurus is about money. Taurus is about self-worth. Taurus is about beauty. We saw lots of talks about money. We saw people talking about how there's going to be a recession. Lots of talk about Bitcoin. Lots of talk about um, beauty standards in society and things like that. Well, we have moved as of January 2023. We are now in the North Node of Aries, which places the South Node in Libra. Why is the South Node in Libra? Because that's the opposite sign of Aries, right? The South Node is always the opposite sign of the North Node. So now we're in the North Node of Aries, okay? And after January of 2025, we'll be in the North Node of Pisces. We should see things calm down a lot. We'll have lots of talk about spirituality and things like that when the North Node goes into Pisces, but I'll talk about that closer to January. Now we're talking about finishing out this cycle of the North Node being in Aries. So one of the main things that you want to, or not even a trick, it's more so the key of astrology, is to know the keywords of the signs and of the houses. If you don't know the keywords of the signs, the houses, the planets, everything about astrology is going to confuse you. None of it's going to make sense because you don't know what. When I say Aries, that should communicate to you certain keywords, a certain energy. When I say Libra, that should communicate certain things to you. But if you do not understand that, it's going to confuse you completely. If you need help with that, I have a keyword guide on glamalchemy.com. It has all of the keywords for the houses, the signs, the planets, so you can know what you're looking at. I will make sure to put that in the description below when I'm done with this live. Okay, so the keywords. So now we're in the North Node of Aries. Okay, so what energy is Aries? Aries is considered the baby of the zodiac, the toddler of the zodiac, because it is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries do tend to be immature, not in and I don't say that in a negative way, but it's like they have a playfulness, a childlike energy about them. But it's like a vigor, you know, that they have. like a zest for life, like this energy that Aries people have. However, Aries is ruled by the planet of Mars, which is the planet of aggression, which is the planet of violence, which is the planet of, it's nuck if you buck, okay? If you know anybody who is Aries or embodies Aries energy, has an Aries sun, an Aries moon, an Aries rising, or lots of planets in Aries, they usually tend to be very quick to anger. They also cool down just as fast. It's just like they're a fire sign. Throw water on them, they calm down. Um, but they are very quick to anger. And this is part of why you are seeing the energy that you're seeing right now, because the North Node is in Aries. So that's the overarching theme for Earth right now is Aries energy. And that is energy that is very, it's just very in your face. It's about standing up for your rights. It's about yourself, right? So the sign of Aries rules your physical body, and it rules your self-concept, like what you think about yourself, your confidence. In medical astrology, Aries rules the head, right? So I have a child who I have two children that have Aries energy. One has the Aries sun, one has the Aries rising. I have to be mindful of head injuries with them. Um, but as the world would have it, both of them have acquired a scar on their faces. That's not uncommon for Aries people, or especially Aries rising people, because the first house, which is what starts your rising house or your ascendant house, um, that is your physical body. So a lot of times, wherever you have your ascendant, if Chiron, which is an asteroid of trauma, goes through it, or anything negatively impacts your first house, you may have an injury. You may get a scar. You may have a scar on the place where um your ascendant is. Things, just different things that can happen. But again, it depends on everyone's chart is different, and it just depends on where it's placed. Um, so we have this aggressive, violent, and Aries does rule masculinity, masculine energy that is governing the earth right now. So people are fighting. Okay, people are at war. One thing I tell people to do who are learning astrology or want to look at how the astrology is going to affect their personal life is to look at how this transit affected you before. It's always going to be slightly different because all of the transits aren't the same, but it's going to be a similar energy. So the last time that the North Node was in Aries was December 2004 through, I'm honestly not sure of the dates. At some point, I'll put the dates in the description when I'm done. At some point of 2006, right? So again, it's about 18. It's about an 18-month transit. So around that time, I believe because I did look up some occurrences between those dates, like major world events, and one of them was one of this high level official in Pakistan was killed, like the day the North Node moved into Aries. Major political official from Pakistan was shot. Okay, Aries rolls guns, just so y'all know too. So when y'all see people getting shot, that's Aries energy. It's Mars Aries energy. Fighting is Aries energy. Okay, we are seeing rat beefs that I never would have thought I would have seen Kendrick Lamar around rat beef, but we're seeing, or even Drake, even honestly, but we're seeing rat beefs. There's wars. There also is a lot of exposure. So this is the thing too with Aries. Aries is like the energy of like blurting something out because you just cannot hold it anymore. Like it's bubbling up in you. You have to say something. That's Aries energy. So the aspect of people being put on blast, people being exposed, is very much in alignment with the North Node being in Aries. Another thing that I thought about with the North Node being in Aries as well was the Nickelodeon Quiet on Set. So interesting, right? All of this stuff that we had overlooked, we had never paid any attention to, um, happening. But again, Aries rules children, like the actual aspect of children. Like when you see children run around the playground and they're sweating and they're playing hide and seek, that is pure Aries energy. So the fact that this happened with children is very, very telling, or very, very on in alignment with the North Node in Aries. But one of the things that has brought up a lot of uncomfortable things being discussed, such as like adults having kids playing in the air and all type of stuff. Abuse of power is another theme that I'm seeing with the North Node in Aries as well. Um, the North Node in Aries, yes. So, oh, is that Chiron is in Aries? Duh, that's what I was thinking. Chiron is also in Aries. So we talked about Chiron briefly. If you do not know about Chiron, book a call with me and Google. I do talk about it briefly in my ebooks on astrology that I have on my website, glamalchemy.com. But Chiron is the asteroid of trauma and pain. So when Chiron transits things, it can be a physical pain, like somebody broke their arm. Okay, Chiron went through Gemini, which was the arms, and they broke their arm. Not uncommon. But it can also be like emotional pain. It can be, something happening that, emotionally, that traumatizes you emotionally. Um, so with the North Node being in the same sign and actually coming into contact with or being conjunct with the asteroid of trauma, something about children being improperly treated or about people being abused that was bound to come out. Okay, it was bound to come out because it's right there in alignment with that North Node in Aries. This is about that is about violence. That's about children being mistreated and being abused. This is about people abusing their power. Okay, so the whole Puff Daddy thing, all of that, and then the expose, like the level of things that are coming out about him. Like it's not just one person. It's like droves of people talking about how this man has been doing these horrible things for like decades. Okay, very much in alignment with the North Node in Aries. Now let's talk about the South Node being in Libra, because this, like, so with astrology, all of it works together. It's not like, oh, the North Node is in Aries, there's a war, there's fires, there's things blowing up, there's this, there's that. That's the gist of the transit. No, astrology is never that way. That's why you can't just be like, oh, that person is a so and so. They're a Taurus, so they're just always going to be the most fashionable. Not always. It depends. The whole chart is the astrology. One sign it can explain, oh, that's why that person is so snap. That's why Gordon Ramsay is so snappy. His Mercury is in Scorpio. That explains a small part of his personality. There are other things in his chart that will explain even deeper why he's so, direct in his speech, why he's a good chef. All of those things, they all move and work together. It's kind of like, it's like a pie, literally. You can't like make one, you maybe can make one slice. Can you make one slice? That's just not how it normally goes. So the whole pie is the whole story. So the other part of this story about this North Node in Aries is this South Node in Libra. So what does that sign represent? Well, Libra is the sign of marriage, which most people know, but it's also the sign of just relationships in general, including business partnerships. Libra is also associated with the law. If you look at the symbol of Libra, it is the Lady Justice with the balancing of the scales. Libra is a sign of balance, of order. Libra is the sign that checks in to be like, are things not fair here? It also is the sign of diplomacy, of coming to agreements and things like that. Like we again talk about Puff Daddy. He tried to make the situation go away. He's like, oh, just pay her $30,000 and just and let that go. That didn't quite work out because of some other factors going on with that. But this was an excellent time for her to request to do a settlement. Okay, so settlements, people coming, people figuring out remedies for situations that have happened in the past, right? Because the South Node is the past. The North Node is where we're going. The South Node is the past. So figuring out those types of things. Again, Libra rules marriage, and we're seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot of weddings. I'm seeing a lot of people getting married. I'm seeing people get engaged, but we're seeing a lot of divorces. And I said this before the North Node went into Aries, because I just already know. Like I already know when the South Node gets to cutting up, it does not play games. So prior to this, the South Node was in Scorpio. So we saw a lot of sex scandals, people telling a lot of their sexual business they shouldn't have been telling, all types of things like that. So now the South Node is in Libra. This is about, people being like, I've been waiting to divorce this motherfucker. I can't stand this motherfucker. Like, can't stand him. You're also seeing a lot of people get out of marriages and get out of relationships, and boom, they're right back in another one. And you're like, what the hell? It's very Libran energy, very Venusian. Venus rules Libra. That's just that type of. It's a very indulgent energy. Not as indulgent as Venus. I mean, I'm sorry, it's Taurus, the other Venus ruled sign, but very very much indulgent in its own ways. And so Venus in. Hope somebody gets their horn. So Venus in not Venus, sorry. The South Node being in Libra, it again, you're going to see a lot of relationship changes with people. You're going to see people to do relationships different. You're also seeing a global scale of women deciding they don't want to be in relationships. They don't want to be married. They don't want to, like, no, that's not even, I'm doing the Aries thing. So the Aries thing is all about selfishness. It's about self. Being independent, versus Libra is about let's partner, let's get married, let's be friends, let's be codependent or interdependent on one another. Like let's do that. So if that energy isn't fitting in your life anymore, you'll see those type of things move away, and you'll come more into your selfish girl era, selfish time era. That's not, a lot of people are starting to figure they need to focus on their self development. A lot of people are starting businesses as well, which is a form of self enrichment. A lot of people are wanting to break away from corporate America, which we'll see more shifts of this as time goes on. Now, when the North Node goes into Pisces, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm a little bit of pins and needles about how that's going to play out. But we just ride the wave. I have Piscean energy in my chart, so it should be really good for me. It's just, yeah, moving through this Aries part of it is interesting to me. I don't have any planets in Aries. I am familiar with the energy of Aries, but it is not my favorite. I mean, it's cool, but it's not my favorite. And it's in, for me, it's in my house of work. So it has shifted a lot of things for me professionally, which is challenging for me as somebody who's a fixed sign, because I personally really don't like change, and I'm just having to just figure it out, just get with the program. So it is what it is, right? So yeah, so this North Node in Aries, no, everybody is not crazy, but what's happening is a lot of shit is bubbling up to the surface. You have the Chiron, the asteroid Chiron in Aries. You have the North Node in Aries. So it's kind of like literally putting a flashlight on BS, on violence, right? Like the people that are protesting about the wars that are happening in the Middle East, very North Node in Aries. They're like, well, what's going on? But it is still that South Node in Libra energy, because it's like peace, like peace. Like Libra is about peace. Libra energy will do anything for some peace, child. And that's the embodiment of the North and the South Node coming together. Asking for peace, asking for diplomacy, asking for people to be treated humanely. That's very much Libra energy, as well as the Pluto now being in Aquarius, which is a whole nother conversation. That's like a very deep conversation, because Pluto is a generational planet. It moves every 20 years. So when Pluto moves, it literally shifts the generation of people. Aquarius is the sign of communities, technology, even AI, the internet, just overall audiences and groups of people. So as a collective, we're literally being shifted, like to do other things. People are losing jobs in careers that are being replaced by robots. Very on key with Pluto and Aquarius. Um, and one thing with astrology, either you're going to adapt or you're not. So when people are like, "Oh, I don't believe in astrology," okay, cool, don't adapt, and then you can just, call me or somebody else when, I guess when you can, when you figure out that it's not for play. Um, so yes, I did have some people ask me about working with me as my student to learn astrology. And I'm so interested and happy that people have asked because I like to teach. I love teaching. I love teaching astrology classes. I used to teach astrology classes in Oakland. I taught them at a crystal shop actually in Oakland. I've taught them online. I've taught them in person in Dallas as well. Um, so I love astrology classes. I love to teach them. So if you are interested in being a part of my astrology cohort where we will all work together for 6 to 8 weeks and we will study. You can go through the full 8 weeks if you want, which is just the last 2 weeks will just be us going over charts for you. That's what you want to do. But the overall instructional part is 6 weeks, and I will be working with you one-on-one and in a group format to help you learn astrology. By the time these 6 weeks is over, you will be an astrologer. You will know your stuff. um, I will tell you that astrology is still a lifelong study, so you will not be done learning things about astrology, but you'll never be done, right? That's how astrology works. But you will have the foundation, you will have the basics, you'll be able to speak the jargon, you'll be able to read a chart, you'll be able to delineate somebody's um ascendant. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, "I don't know what time I was born, my mama didn't tell me," that's fine. You can still figure out you can still figure out their ascendant. Astrologers do it all the time. I will also be giving resources on how to create an astrology chart by hand, because we are still going to need astrologers to do that as things go on. Um, I always quote this. J.P. Morgan Chase, the person who created Chase Bank, he always said, or he is quoted as saying, that millionaires don't hire astrologers, billionaires do. People who are very high up professionally, politically, a lot of them do hire, quiet as it's kept, they do hire astrologers. Nancy Reagan is a politician or a politician's wife, who spoke about why she hired why she kept an astrologer on payroll for herself and her husband because of him pretty much almost getting killed during some event, and an astrologer had tried to tell her she wouldn't listen. But he was like, at that point, she was like, "Okay, we need an astrologer." A lot of very wealthy people who are very successful have astrologers, and that's how they're able to move how they move. Um, if you do choose to join the mentorship with me, um, um, the you will see. We will point out and see how there's TV shows, there's movies, all types of events that come out during astrological events, including full moons and new moons and things like that. But there are a lot of times when I noticed there was a very major TV show. I won't even quote what it was, but it came out on May 23rd. It was actually my kid's birthday. But this year, that particular day, Jupiter, which is the planet of luck, and Venus, which is the planet of love and money, and also some aspects of fame, they were conjunct, right? Two of the best benefics, as we call them in astrology, the beneficial planets that help you in a positive way. They were on top of each other, conjunct at the same degree, right? So it's a very auspicious or lucky time, a great time to do a manifestation or set something afoot to start something, right? And this really major TV show came back for their next season on that day. And I'm like, they have an astrologer on staff. I guarantee they're going to have a great season this year for their show. Even though the show is not even, it doesn't even matter. They did what they needed to do. I'm sure they're going to have a great season because of the timing and the placement of when they decided to bring their show back to TV. Um, what else did I want to share? Oh, yes. So tomorrow, I have 2 rituals so far for this month. Ceremony of Fortune, which is a money ritual that is going to be June 1st. So that's tomorrow. And then on June 3rd, I'm having a divine feminine ritual. And that is to help restore your feminine intuition. If you feel like you can't hear yourself, it's too much noise, and you really cannot tap into your intuition as a woman or feminine being, please go ahead and sign up for that one. Both of those are on glammalchemy.com. And again, I will post the links to all of this good stuff in the comments when I am done. Does anybody have any questions about the North Node being in Aries and war and all? I mean, it's so crazy. Like I was looking or I was reading something about the war and they were talking about people being beheaded. And I was just like, as sad as that's Aries energy. Aries rules violence and it rules the head. Even machetes, really all weapons. That's under the qualities of Aries. Okay, I'm not seeing any comments or questions. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that helped to clear up why there is so much beef and debauchery, and bleach blonde, bad bill bodies, all of that. Okay, like that whole interaction, Aries, like them going at it with each other, Aries all day. Um, a lot of Aries actually do like to argue, which is I can't even. I have too much Libra energy in my chart to even understand that. I don't like arguing with people. I like to chop people off after if they've done something to me. Um, that type of verbal um, fighting is cool for me, but I don't just like I don't like fights. I like picking fights and starting shit. That's just not my whole vibe. Again, I have too much Libra energy for that. We don't Libra energy people. We don't like that. We don't like to start anything. Okay, y'all. So I really hope that helped to clear up some of the questions about why things are so wild right now. While we are seeing a war, while we are, seeing some of the things that we're seeing. If you guys see any other events that happened back between 2004 and 2006 that you can remember that align with Aries energy, please, be feel free to share that with us. I didn't look through the whole 2 years to see, but I'm sure if I went through it, I would see about more instances of violent acts of children making major news in positive and in negative ways, and some type of, you know, political battle of sorts happening as well, because it has a lot to do with the Libra energy, the Libra South Node energy, because Libra is also politics. So, or one of the signs that governs politics. So there's also that. Okay, guys. So I hope this was helpful. I will definitely be posting the links to the astrology mentorship, as well as my astrology keyword guide, and my other astrology ebooks. I will be posting those in the comments. If you do have any questions after this, feel free to go to glammalchemy.com and go on my contact us page and to send me a message. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something. And again, if you're interested in becoming an astrologer, please contact me. I would love to have you as a student. And we can get started within the week and we can get you rolling. By the end of the summer, you could be reading charts, making money, getting contracts with big corporations, because you will be really surprised at How many people really need astrologers? They just don't know that that's exactly what they need. Astrology is a form of strategy, and businesses and people of means do need astrologers. All right, guys. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. We're at the halfway mark of the year, which is just crazy, but sending you positive energy as long as you are sending that back to me as well. And please, definitely reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. I'll be here being my normal cute self, and I'll pop back in when I can. Thank you so much. Peace.